Hey Chris, what can I help you with today?
So we're working on a wallpaper job today, doing some removal. I need to get 5 gallons of bin primer. I need to get a pack of crocodile cloths and then a couple snap knives.
Sweet, I can grab that primer for you.
Cool.
That's all you need today, Chris?
Yep, just the crocodile cloths, the couple knives, and the primer. I do have a question for you though. Tritech 310 tips. I got a friend in California that needs some. Do you guys got any in stock?
We do have 310s in stock. If you just want us to order online, we can ship it out right away.
Oh, cool, perfect.
All right, good to go.
Thank you, have a great day, Gabe.
You too.
So today we're out here doing some wallpaper removal. Got my Werner wallpaper steamer. Kind of give you some tips and tricks when it comes to removing wallpaper. We got a border, we got vinyl paper here. You got a border over the top of the vinyl paper. We're not removing this vinyl paper, but we are removing this border. One of the things, I don't use any type of chemicals. I don't use paper tigers or anything. Typically wallpaper removal, I've just got a putty knife. Usually have 2 sizes of putty knives available to do any type of scraping of the wet wallpaper off after I've steamed it. I typically have a type of sharp knife if I've got to cut anything around light switches or anything like that, plus the 5-in-1 tool side that I can do any scraping with. I like a little water bottle to pre-wet everything. You know, once I pull off the facing as much as I can get off, a lot of times it'll just come off without even steaming it. So I just typically use water. Usually don't put anything in it. You can put Dawn dish soap, which actually helps too, and it's very effective also. But the steamer takes a while to get heated up and start steaming. So in order to make use of time, we just start doing peeling off the basically your vinyl face right here that exposes the paper under portion of the wallpaper, and all you got to do is wet this right here, and a lot of times that'll just come right off without any steaming at all. And this is a kind of little handy, I like just this little hand pump you can use like a weed sprayer. This thing is easy to store inside, you know, my vehicle, and just like this it just sprays on. You can see just like that, it's wet, and a lot of times just wetting it that fast will get it to come off. It's kind of on there pretty good. But I'll just come along here and just start peeling off all this vinyl. Wallpaper is kind of a messy job, time consuming, and a lot of like do-it-yourselfers, when they start doing it, they don't realize, you know, how messy when the steamer starts going, how hot it gets in the room. If you start adding ventilation, the steaming process doesn't work as good, so it's good to close all windows and doors, let it get real steamy in here. The more moisture there is, the easier the paper comes off. This top one right here, you could say this is a pretty bad wallpaper job. Just like that comes off. Just gonna pre-wet this. Just don't like using any type of chemicals myself. A lot of the chemicals will help loosen stuff more, but then you're adding contaminants on your walls that, you know, just could cause issues with paint adhesion and stuff like that. And usually if it's just a true water-based glue, as soon as you get it wet, it'll come off. With that said, a little bit, using warm water is another good trick. If you're using warm water in this, it'll help this process happen a lot faster. Right now I just put cold water in it because it's been a while since I've done wallpaper removal, so I just forgot my own trick actually, putting warm water in here. You can see this is kind of a vinyl coat. If you just spray water over the top of this, it's not going to penetrate this. So spraying water over the top of that's not going to help you at all. But the warm water just helps soften, activate the glue a lot faster. And typically it is messy. It's good to put, if you're not replacing the flooring, it's good to put some type of drop cloth plastic down that'll catch any water and stuff. You can just fold it up and throw it away, or lift up the drop cloth, haul it outside with all the paper and stuff on it. It's nice when it comes off in big strips like that. It happens really fast. We're actually painting over this vinyl wallpaper. We're not removing it. This is kind of like an rough industrial waterproof wall covering right here. We're painting over the top of it, and I'm shooting a video on, because the customer didn't want to spend the money to remove it and texture the walls. Shooting a video on priming this and painting it, and how you go about doing that process. Can be done, just a few steps to painting vinyl wallpaper like that. I am using a Warner wallpaper steamer. Unfortunately, that's the best steamer I've ever used before. The one I have here, I'm using in this video, is probably about 20 years old. I don't believe the company is in business anymore manufacturing them, so you can't get them anymore. Can't keep a sponge with me just to wipe walls. We got a lot of water running down the walls. To kind of dry up that water, soak it up a little bit. Wallpaper removal, once again, it does not happen fast. That's one of the things I think people don't realize, how time consuming it actually is, how labor intensive it is. If you want to have an idea like how to charge, I've done a lot of wallpaper removal in the past. I specifically charge by the hour. I'll give the customer a rough estimate. I can come pretty close within an hour to how long it's going to take to remove all the way wallpaper in a room or whatever the job site is, and I give them an estimate. I tell them I'm usually pretty darn close, but there's a lot of unknowns about what's behind here, stuff like that. So I always tell them it is only an estimate and that it is by the hour. I charge $50 an hour to remove wallpaper. I don't like to be stepping in the wallpaper. I'm gonna pick up all this mess. I don't want it sticking to my shoes and stuff. And just keep a trash bag handy. Pick this up and just throw it in a trash bag. If you get any of this paper at all, this vinyl that won't peel off, occasionally that does happen, and you're just gonna have to steam right over the top of it. It'll cause it to start bubbling and come off, but it's nice when that layer, upper layer, comes off and exposes the raw paper underneath. Right here, this one's not coming off right here. There's a lot of unknowns. Once again, the reason why I'll kind of touch on why I do it by hourly, because you really have no idea, who installed this paper and how they installed it. And I'll tell you just an example. I did a bathroom that had a border just like this in a really small bathroom. I estimated it was going to take me a half hour to remove it. Told the customer that. Said it'd be just 25 bucks to remove it. And it ended up taking me 5 hours to remove it, because what had happened was the customer put it up themselves and they used Elmer's glue to glue up the wallpaper border, and I had to get all that off painstakingly, little tiny piece by little tiny piece, and it took me 5 hours to do. And because my bid was a hard bid, I lost a lot of money painting that bathroom. So a lot of things in my estimate, my bid packet. I have a large bid packet I give to customers whenever I give them my estimate on a job, my bid. Most of the things in the bid packet are put in there because of typically negative experiences I had, in the painting, industry, where I did something, lost money somehow, some way. You can see how this is starting to soften up, and it'll come off fairly easily. It's it may just scrape off without a steamer, but you'll see this would kind of be a slow process, but a steamer will steam this really quick and lift it off really fast. Once again, Dawn dish soap, you can use Dawn Dawn's not gonna add contaminants to the wall that'll cause your paint to fisheye or any issues. I just don't like using, you know, any chemicals at all. So some of this is I'm just working along on this border, and this isn't coming off typically how it comes off. It usually comes off way faster than this. My guess is some type of glue was used to attach this border onto this vinyl, because regular wallpaper paste probably wouldn't have stuck to it. And so I'm having to go a lot slower, so I'm just holding, you'll start to get the feel for, you know, how fast you can go, because it should just come off loosely like this. So I'm having to let the steamer do more work, spend more time. Should come off quick. It's starting to, it's definitely softening up the vinyl underneath, so you definitely got to be careful not to scrape and scratch that. But this is kind of the process, just slow going. You see, if I let it set long enough in place, it just comes off a lot easier. But you don't want the, I don't want the vinyl underneath the bubble either, because we're not removing that. They do got in these corners a lot of seams. Whoever did the installation didn't do a very good job. There was seams everywhere. Another good handy tip is you can learn how to use both hands with a putty knife so the one shoulder doesn't get tired. So one little handy little tip when it comes to wallpaper, I do like wearing gloves. You know, this does get pretty hot. This hose gets pretty hot. I can grab the hose wearing gloves. You know, doesn't, because it can burn your hands as it's pretty hot. But if you got rubber gloves, there's some insulation, you know, factor there. So you can actually grab it, you know, and hold it for a little bit of time. So I definitely like wearing gloves. I don't like the paint getting all over my hands either, so gloves are good for that. This is definitely, I guess I said it, this isn't stereotypical. I'll show you, come over here to this side. I'm gonna do some removal on this side. This is probably gonna be more representative of most wallpaper that you remove. Let's see if it's usually gonna be just like this. Once you wet it, it just comes right off. Just like that. That's typical wallpaper removal. Unfortunately with this job, I think they've used some type of glue other than standard wallpaper paste, because if they get it to stick to this vinyl, I'm not a wallpaper installation expert, so I'm not quite sure what they would have used. That's not the ideal way to do things, but